Does it say it's recording on your end?
Yep. Yes.
It is. Okay. Yeah, I see it on my end. It looks a little different on my end, but that's okay. I got it. So,
Okay.
a couple seconds here. All right, everybody. It is Thursday night, November 16th, 2023. You are listening to the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, part of the Chairshot Radio Network. You can find us on thechairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head. I'm going to wrap around the room here, introduce this cast of characters we've got here tonight, starting with from the Rob the Genius podcast, as always. He is the Minister of Truth, the Father of Facts and Figures, the Deacon of Data. He is the official shoot bear of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, Ray Cash's daddy, and the man with the golden shovel, Mr. Rob. Sir, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
And from the Purple Haze and Cloud 9, he is Bucky's tag team partner, a man destined to go through a barbershop window. Jason, sir, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you, boys?
Doing all right. Wrapping up another long week. Work has been a whole thing. Not going to go down that road with you guys. I want to talk some fun stuff. We've got a fun show lined up. I am, as always, the man with the award-winning and holy beard, DJ. Got a little bit of update for you guys as far as the beard goes. I've been in heavy contract negotiations with the beard over the last couple of months. The beard's contract is set to expire sometime in February, and the beard has come to me with some demands. I'm not sure I'm ready to meet them. It goes without saying, this is the award-winning beard, and this past year at the Brevard Renaissance Festival, the beard failed to capture another award. And here on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, I only deal with winners. My co-hosts are both winners. The beard failed to capture, so I'm not real sure that I'm going to re-sign the beard in the coming season. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll let you know as updates come in, but that's breaking news here at the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. The award-winning Beard's contract is running up, and we have not reached an agreement yet. Anyway, we are roaring right into Survivor Series 2023, and we talked last week. We wanted to do a little bit of a watch-along this week and next before we break down, the Survivor Series card for this year. On next week's episode, Rob picked out a couple of really good matches. We're going to kind of start off here, Survivor Series 2017. We're picking two matches from this one that I think flew below a lot of radars. One in particular that we're going to watch first. This is Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. If you want to watch this along with us, go ahead and pull that up on the Peacock. You can pause the episode now if you want. That is Survivor Series 2017. That is Season 31, Episode 1. The timestamp is 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 17 seconds. Again, that is Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. And, Rob threw a couple matches out there of Charlotte's because he wants to pay respect to his queen. And he had thrown a different match out there. And then he threw this one out there with her and Alexa Bliss, and Jason made a comment that Alexa really doesn't get her shine. And we were talking about this a little bit off camera before we really started rolling here. And I got to agree with you, Jason. I think Alexa Bliss, and I said this to you guys, really does not get the credit she deserves. I know a lot of people very critical. I had one guy that I got into it online with maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, pretty much called her an Instagram model pretending to be a wrestler, and I cannot more wholeheartedly disagree with that. Is she the best technically proficient woman in the professional wrestling business? Absolutely not. But in all the other areas, Alexa Bliss gets the job done. She is absolutely 1,000% dedicated to the character work that they give her. Any time that she's ever done it, she's knocked it out of the park. And Jason, I'll kick it over to you. As you mentioned, there was a period in time where we went from Alexa's really not good in the ring to, wait a minute, she's actually really better than we thought she was.
Yeah, I always thought she was more talented than people gave her credit for, and she's a gymnast, so there was certain stuff that she just nailed, and people didn't even give her the credit that she deserved for that. But in any case, there was a period of probably after she came onto the main roster where she started using that short arm DDT. She just started putting it together. Whether she was in the ring with some people who are quarterbacking her, maybe, because again, my memory of this timeline is not that great. But I just remember like, and I think this match is going to be one of those matches that shows you like, yeah, she can. That girl can go. Is she going to put on a 40-minute classic in the Tokyo Dome? She is not. But in all aspects of professional wrestling, she is at least competent. And in most of the other areas that the ones I care about, the Mortal Kombat shit, the comic book shit, she knocks it out of the park. So yeah, Alexa Bliss is great.
Yeah. Rob, you got any thoughts on Alexa before we get into this match?
Yeah, because this point, because when she was in NXT, like she had matches, but
She was largely managing Buddy and what was the other guy? His partner.
Wesley Blake and Murphy. Yeah,
that's right. Blake and Buddy and Blake. That's right.
Yeah, and basically that's pretty much mostly what she did. And that's funny because her and Carmella are both kind of playing the same kind of role with different people.
Right.
Because Carmella was with Enzo and Cass, and they both got drafted at the same time. And I think most of us kind of felt the same way about both of them. Like okay, all right.
Carmella's criminally underrated in the ring.
Yeah, and so they both got there at the same time. They both got to SmackDown at the same time, and both of them did way better out of the gate than people thought they would do. And now in Alexa's case, in 2017, 2018, she beat a whole lot of people. And some of the kind of, and look, some of the names on that list that the people that she beat have people feeling some kind of way. All right. Because she beat Bayley a bunch of times. She beat Sasha a bunch of times. And she beat Mickie James a bunch of times.
I think one of the ones that got people hot, Rob, was one that you and I, were jokingly in a little playful banter going back and forth of when she dethroned Becky Lynch as the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion. A lot of people took that a certain way.
Yeah, I guess the people I talked to were madder about her beating Bayley and Sasha.
Well, there's that too. But I know my timeline that night when she put Becky through the table, my timeline was a mess on Twitter.
And so she went through all of those people in about a year, and then later on, then the next year she won the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashed in the same night. And yeah, so I mean, a lot of people, and a lot of people just weren't happy about a lot of that, and and it's so that's always kind of hung over her. And then unfortunately, as much as I have defended Ronda Rousey, Ronda concussed her into hell in 2018.
Yeah,
and her career has not really been the same since.
No, it's been more character work. They saddled her with Bray Wyatt, which I was here for. Bray, rest in peace. I enjoyed the interaction and the dynamic that her and Bray had going, and I really, aside from one of the many things that's been taken from us due to COVID over the years, very importantly, Bray Wyatt's life. The one thing that we'll never get is a payoff of something that I wanted to see. They had this amazing story with Alexa Bliss being good friends with Braun Strowman. And then and they were telling this really nuanced, layered story with Bray kind of coaxing Alexa over to the dark side, and Alexa going just fully immersing herself into that. And I'd always wanted somewhere down the line in the essence of long-term storytelling for them to run that back with Braun and Bray, because I always wanted Braun to come and finally rescue Alexa. Like, that was my Hollywood ending to that story arc, and sadly we'll never get that. And Alexa's part to play in that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and it's unfortunate that we won't get that now. And but again, she's she has gotten a bad rap over the years, and look, she got really popular really fast also, and upon arriving on SmackDown after the draft, and that was largely what fueled that whole year and a half where she was just running through everybody.
Yeah.
Hey man, and Lily sold. So.
Oh yeah, that doll made tons of money for them, I'm sure.
So
Her.
yeah, I mean, look, I mean, because people get into arguments all the time about who's over, who isn't, who's a draw, who isn't. They should push this person, they should push that person. You can't make those arguments and then sit there and say that they shouldn't have pushed her when they did. Okay.
And I'm sorry, I can't walk around a show and see a Lily doll in like every little girl's hand and tell you that was a bad idea. Like, I'm sorry. I'm seeing real tangible results. I'm not, I'm seeing it happen live. So I don't know what else to tell you guys.
Most of what Alexa Bliss did ended up being a license to print money. And you can't take that away from her. You can't fault her for that. And you can't fault the company for running with it, man.
No, you can't. I mean, so, and like we said, she was ultimately, yes, she is a better worker. Like I said, as far as technical doing holds and stuff, no. But as far as an overall worker, she is much better than she gets credit for.
Now, so let's get into this here. Let's go again to remind you guys. This is Survivor Series 2017 on the Peacock, season 31, episode 1, timestamp 1 hour 52 minutes 17 seconds. Going to give a little countdown here with the guys, and we are going to start this show in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we've got our introduction. Charlotte's coming out first.
Blue. And she literally won the SmackDown Women's title, the SmackDown before this pay-per-view.
Charlotte looks amazing here. This is I understand Charlotte leaned out and really kind of dropped a bit of body weight and has more of a lean ripcord muscle. I was a bigger fan of Charlotte with a little bit more meat on her bones here. She's kind of thinned out a little bit too much for me here lately, but she looks spectacular here.
Who did she beat for the title?
She beat Natalia.
Yeah, they just showed that in the highlight prior to this. She booted Natalia right in the chin, man. It was actually, Natty sold the hell out of it.
Oh, well, we got to do the foreign announced tables.
Yep, here we are. Roberto Figueroa.
Eat the Portuguese boys. Now we go over to the Russians. I don't know if these people are anyone I should actually know.
This part of you, for those of you that have been to like TV tapings and things like that, this is the part of the show that's really awkward because the talent is just kind of lounging around out there. Like Charlotte's in the ring posing and she just kind of is just like standing there while they get through all of this before we announce Alexa. I remember the last SmackDown I went to, Liv Morgan was the champ, and it was Liv versus Lacey, and Liv came out right before the commercial break, and then they went to commercial break because where I was sitting, you could see the countdown clock over on the hard cam side, and they went to commercial. She just kind of slid out of the ring, was chilling over by Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And then right on cue with maybe 7 seconds left, she slides back into the ring, goes right back into the pose she was doing before they went to commercial. And then they announced Lacey Evans. It was awkward to watch, from that respect. We've got the Mandarin team here. We probably shouldn't have done intros on this one, guys. We're burning time here, but this is fine. They'll go through the announced teams real quick, and then we'll get to Alexa Bliss. So this match, I was telling Rob, I remember them having a match. I do not remember this match. So this will be cool. This will be like me watching it for the first time. And here comes Little Miss Bliss, and she is the Raw Women's Champion at the time.
Yeah.
Totally forgot that. I forgot this was a champ versus champ match.
It's Survivor Series, man.
Well, I knew it was a person versus person. I didn't even think about it. Like I said, dude, I don't remember watching this one. I remember it happening. I don't remember the details of it.
That's right. Got Alexa. I loved this little pose that she did.
Yeah, her little title pose. I love this where she throws the belt over the shoulder.
Yeah,
That's so good. One of my creator wrestlers on 2K13 or 2K23, I gave her that title pose just because I think it's so slick, so cool. Look at how tiny she is.
oh,
Charlotte just towers over her.
yeah. This definitely looks like a mismatch.
It does. And this is something that Rob was talking about. If you think that these girls didn't have a good match, Rob was alluding to something last week. When you have these really short girls, a lot of times it's very hard for them to have a fluid match with a girl who towers over her. And Charlotte towers over Alexa. So it's just not believable if Alexa goes to try and do certain things. I don't know, Charlotte's your queen, Rob. What's your favorite color on her? Because I'm kind of digging the blue.
Okay, I like blue. Good question.
White and gold.
Man.
White with gold trim. Ridiculous.
I don't know. I've seen her out there in pink. I've seen her out there in white. I've seen her in the blue. I was a big fan of like the blue and kind of greenish peacock look.
Yeah.
I think that brings out her complexion, brings out her eyes.
I'd probably go with the blue. Yeah.
The blue, yeah. Another thing Alexa did, and I only ever saw it once. She's got that double jointed gimmick that she does with the elbow.
Yeah.
Freaked me the hell out the first time I saw it. I forget who she was wrestling, but they put her in like an armbar or something, and she did the whole droopy arm. Oh my god! I was like, what the hell?
See, now we're getting going. Got it on the outside.
Yeah, it's turned into a bit more of a fight here than a wrestling match, but this is brand supremacy, so we expect it to be a fight. Oh, that was good.
Oh, they're yanking her down by the arm.
Yeah.
I mean, Alexa's got to be a little scrappy.
You have to when you're itty bitty.
Yeah.
Well, and this is one of the things that she does really well is that she works like somebody her size should be working against bigger people.
Yeah.
She doesn't go to a video game match.
Just like right there, she knows. Oh yeah, you're much bigger than me, and you know what? Big tree fall hard.
And I'm going to kick you while you're down. And yeah, it's very smart. Just laying in the boots, kicked her. I like that.
Yep.
Alexa, that's another thing. Alexa can get vicious out there.
Puts her whole body behind something.
And that's what you're supposed to do when you're wrestling. So when you're a little person wrestling somebody big, you got to put it all out there.
Yep.
It was one thing they taught me when I was doing things. I'm at the time when I was wrestling, I'm 5'8" still, but I was 140 pounds then. I can't be out there clotheslining a guy who's got 50 pounds on me and expecting him to bump. I had to get up off my feet and do like a flying clothesline. And I hit everybody with the flying clothesline. That's the only way they were going to bump for me.
Alexa working it.
Good abdominal stretch here with a little arm bar in there. Again, little thing. She's digging into the ribs, digging the elbow in. I like it. I dig it, man. So much better than people gave her credit for.
Most importantly, she's shit talking Charlotte while she does so.
Yep.
Oh, her little like shit talking voice. I know we've all got it on mute because otherwise it would be crazy with our audio. But her little shit talking voice was so good. Is so good.
Yeah, Alexa, and you guys have heard me talk for years on this podcast about nuance. I love nuance, and Alexa Bliss was really good at the little stuff. Yeah.
She's like the really bratty cadence without being annoying. She's so good, man.
And facial expressions. I'm a big one on facial expressions, and her emotion throughout whatever she's doing with her character at the time was always good. And Charlotte's given her a lot here.
Talk about the Hogan, do it for the back row kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is small, but she will make herself known, that Alexa. Charlotte's so smooth, man.
She is. And she really knows how to take this. Here we get a nice little counter roll.
Because she's selling all the stuff that Alexa is doing to her, like, really well, as she should.
And she's making it feel important. Like, to stack them up side by side, there's no way that Alexa should be doing any of this to Charlotte. And Charlotte's making me believe this little girl is whipping her ass.
Right. Ooh. Oof. Dang.
I would like to have seen this Alexa Bliss versus what Mandy Rose became.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. I always like that suplex from Charlotte.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I have no memory of this. I know they had a match, but this is fun because it's watching it for the first time. Kind of like.
Ooh. I love a good tree of woe drop kick.
Yeah, so do I.
That was even a tree of woe baseball slide was one of my guys' finishers in the old N64 days.
I always liked on those games the power of the punch.
No.
There's something to me about somebody just punching the crap out of somebody and knocking them out and calling it a finisher.
Big Show style?
No, this was actually Regal was doing it. They call it the power of the punch because he would act like he was knocking them out, but he was really pulling out brass knuckles from the tights when the ref's back was turned, and he was laying them out with the brass knuckles. Power of the punch was awesome. Charlotte's still selling the ribs. We're a good 5 minutes in, and Alexa Bliss has been in almost total control here. Uh-oh. Charlotte's got her. This is where the size comes in. Oh, and the power. We've got.
Yep.
She's punching her way out of there.
Going for Pop Rocks. There it is.
There it is.
I don't think they were calling it Pop Rocks. I don't know what do they? Is that like a code red?
I think they call it code red or code blue for her.
Yeah, one of them.
And that's what Roxanne calls the Pop Rocks.
Yep.
I ain't going out there and wrestling with no nose ring.
Nope.
Somebody gets cute and decides to pull on that thing.
Yeah.
It's just an accident. You land wrong and you punch wrong. Or...
No, thank you.
Yeah, no. All of a sudden, it's on the other side of the ring, or worse, in your skull. Woo!
Charlotte's wearing her out with those chops, man.
Jesus, Alexa.
Alexa's like so scrappy. She's got her in a guillotine.
Guillotine. With the guillotine, I love it.
She's like a little spider monkey, man. Look at her. She just like wraps around you.
She's so small and she's so flexible and like agile. She's like a little amoeba.
Oh, here comes the power again.
Here she comes. She's gonna power out. Powering out of the guillotine.
You're going up for the power slam or the power bomb, young lady.
Oh.
Splat.
Easy, Rob.
I hope whatever happens, if because I know she's still pregnant, right? She hasn't had the baby yet.
Yes, yeah, I think she hasn't. Carmella did, not her.
Carmella had the baby. That I knew. That was they just posted that about 3 days ago. But I think Alexa's still pregnant.
Yeah.
I hope that if and when she comes back, it's to a full in-ring return. I think there's a lot of women there right now that Alexa could have really good work with after she shakes the rust off.
Yeah. Obviously, do what you want to do with your life, girl. But if it does include a wrestling ring, we would love to have you back.
Charlotte's another one who's really good at facial expressions.
Oh, what's that thing called?
Natural selection.
Oh, natural selection. That's it. It's a cool finisher.
Oh, and Alexa took it like a champ.
Yeah, because some people lately have not been taking it very well.
They have not.
And it's like you got to sit up and stick your head up there, and you got to do the full head snap and everything. And
yeah.
Now, she originally wanted to do that off the top rope to be her finisher, and she was told not to.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, yeah. They told her in NXT like you don't want to be taking that off the top. You don't want to be taking that landing off the top rope every night.
Right. Well, that's like that thing that Ricochet does. What do they call it? The 640, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That dude, you got to get him a finisher that you don't want to be doing in your 40s.
Yeah.
You don't see Charlotte miss with a moonsault very often.
Yeah, and yeah, she done it because she did the full face plant there.
I was gonna say you don't see her miss and then take the face bump, chest
No, she
bump.
usually lands on her feet, but no, she did. She took a full.
She's like, all right, you can miss, you can dodge it, but I'm not bumping for you. Which I mean,
there's the DDT.
But of course, Jason, that's a national outrage. I mean, she should do the full face plant every time, or else it's just not acceptable.
Yeah, that Charlotte, the Charlotte has a bad moonsault discourse is one that I do not understand. Like, tell me you don't understand athleticism without actually saying it. Because that thing is a graceful thing of beauty 9.5 times out of 10.
And she's 6 feet tall doing it, by the way.
Yeah. This match was a good call, Rob. This has been really good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like, this has felt like a good fight.
I wish I could hear what Alexa's saying right now. Oh, well, no. Smart move by the ref here, by the way. Just, I'm just going to let you guys.
There's the spear.
Like grabbing each other's faces, and he's just like, yeah.
I'll let you two ladies sort this out.
Yeah.
Somebody goes for the pin, I'll count it.
Yeah, exactly. Smart man, by the way.
Absolutely. Women get in a fight to the point where they're grabbing each other's faces, you just stand back.
I'm here to count the pin, brother.
Yeah.
What is Charlotte's tattoo on her ribs? I don't think I've ever inquired about that.
I think one of them says a little patience or something. Like you don't know one that has the words.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, it's from the Guns N' Roses song "Patience" because that was her brother.
Oh, okay.
That was her brother's favorite song, I think.
Gotcha. I was wondering if it was a tribute to Reed.
They're both like big Guns N' Roses fans.
See,
Alexa has been vicious this match.
she's so good, man.
She
And
is.
and it all made sense. Everything that she did makes sense. It's again,
It did.
it's not they're not having a video game match. Oh, and she just got caught coming down.
Oh, caught hitting the twisted bliss.
And ooh, she didn't try.
And the shark smells blood in the water.
Yeah, Charlotte got her square with it too.
Oh, boot to the face. Here it comes.
No.
There it is. There's only one thing left to do, Alexa. The figure eight is locked in.
Uh-oh.
It's locked in. Do it. Do it. There it is. She taps.
Terrible.
That's all right, Alexa. You're still a champion.
Mm.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
Twisted Bliss was a nice thing of beauty too, though.
Yeah.
That's a nice move.
Oh, and Charlotte really did get her square with the knees.
She did. She got him right on there, and Alexa took the boot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to hear it about either one of these girls.
Not a bit. I won't hear a bad word about either one of them.
Mm-mm.
All right. So next up, there's Charlotte, the winner for Team SmackDown, earning another point for Team SmackDown here. So next up, Rob, you want to introduce the next one?
Yeah, the very next match on the show, and that is World Champion AJ Styles against Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, and that was also a title change that happened like a week or two before the pay-per-view. So that they flipped both titles on SmackDown like a week or two before the pay-per-view. Now I think in this case with AJ winning, well, I think he was going to win it anyway, but I think they moved it up because Brock, from rumors and reports, Brock wasn't really particularly enthusiastic about working with Jinder Mahal. The guy, we have no idea how, I mean.
Right. Well, I think Brock probably looked at it. No offense to Jinder, I enjoyed his run. I thought it was fun for what it was, and I thought he put in some incredible character work during that time. But is there money in Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal? Like, being realistic, personal bias aside.
Well, I would say if
producer just looked at it and said, you know what? If we're doing this title versus title thing or champion, and on the other side of the aisle is Brock Lesnar, let's not waste this one.
No. Yeah, and then also, I mean, if AJ was going to win the belt anyway, then you might as well do it here to set up this match.
Right. So.
Yeah, it makes sense, and like I said, I'm not saying Brock actually did that, but I'm saying if he did, it's a business decision. I don't think it's a personal thing where he looked at Jinder and said, "Nah, this guy sucks. I ain't wrestling him." It's probably like, "Look, you guys have me. Let's make it a money match." Like, he knows his worth, and there's money in Brock versus AJ, and you might not get that opportunity again. Because you don't know how, at this point, you don't know how much longer AJ is going to go. We don't know what Brock's doing from 1 month to the next. So,
I still don't think it even got to Brock's desk.
And that's the other thing. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, the old man probably made that. Well, the old man did make the call, obviously, but
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, he always makes the call.
I mean, this is the spectacle kind of deal that Vince, you know, built his
yeah.
company on.
And you saw the Nitro clip there for AJ.
Yeah. And you always forget he worked a couple of shows for WCW. He worked at least a tryout match for WWE back in the day.
Yeah. And and I mean, like I'd never seen him wrestle until he came to WWE. I mean, I had heard
Yeah.
about him, I knew the name, but I couldn't even tell you what he even looked like, before he before he came to
Yeah.
WWE.
In the early days of TNA, I watched a bit of AJ Styles. Like his feud with Christopher Daniels was revolutionary back in the day because they were doing stuff then that these guys are trying to emulate now. And so it was revolutionary. I was never really like a really big AJ Styles fan. Like I saw the vision, but I looked at him, and of course he had the short hair, the clean shaved baby face. I'm like, this guy looks like every other indie wrestler out there. Like he moves better than most of them. He was better in the ring than most of them, but from a standout standpoint, he didn't look like anything special. I think one of the best things he ever did for himself was grow the hair and grow the beard, because now he passes the airport test.
Yeah.
And back then he was a great wrestler guy, number 437. He just happened to be at the top of the class.
Yeah. And I will say, unlike a lot of the guys who were working there at the same time, he left in New Japan at exactly the right time.
Yes. Yeah.
Because some of those guys who stayed over there should have come with him.
Probably. I was so glad to hear that, though, because, like I said, I hadn't watched a lot of his New Japan stuff, but I knew where he was from TNA. I knew he had matured, he had grown up, and when I heard WWE was sniffing him out and he may have signed, I was ready. Just the timing of everything, the stars lined up, and he's had a great run in WWE, and seems to be happy, and that's awesome for him.
And because when he came out of the Royal Rumble, even though I'd never seen him before, it was still, I mean, that was still one of those like, oh my God, this guy's really here.
Yeah.
Moments.
Well, he felt like one of those guys who you either never thought he would want to go to WWE, or you would think that they didn't want him for whatever reason, and then they got him, and it's just it was incredible. They made him feel important from day one, and we've been off to the races since then.
Oh, I mean, before he even hit the ring, well, who is it?
Well, Roman was in the ring.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble. And
it was Roman, and Roman totally put it over.
And Bradshaw was like, oh, he's the IWGP heavyweight champion, same as Brock Lesnar.
That's JoJo, isn't it? In the ring next to Charles Robinson.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And it's weird seeing Paul with Brock now.
Yeah. You just look at this and you can tell even now, because this is only 6 years ago, and just the intros are different. Paul's aligned with Roman. We don't have the CG TV graphics. It really was only 6 years ago, but it almost feels like watching a different era. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is going to be one of those times where if we're still doing this podcast, we're going to look back and take a victory lap, because so many people shit on the 2015 to like 2018 era.
Yes.
And we really got some good. So I'd even add 2019 to that, because the 2019 discourse went around, what, about 3 or 4 days ago? But there was some really, really good stuff in that window. It really was.
Yeah, and for anybody to compare that to 1995, where, you know,
Tell me you weren't watching. Tell me you weren't alive in 1995, because there's no way you can say that with a clear conscience.
yeah, Mabel challenged for the world title at SummerSlam, 1995. Okay, I guarantee you, there was nobody who was in any world title match during this era that was as bad as Mabel. Okay.
Right.
How is it possible that 6 years ago Lesnar was in, and I don't want to say worse shape because he's Lesnar and he would probably he eats breakfast that weighs more than I do, but he's in better shape now than he was looking at him here in 20. Like you can obviously tell he still works out a bit, but he wasn't as heavy in the gym. Last time I saw Lesnar, he just looked more cut and more overall physically imposing than he does right here.
Yeah, he literally just got bigger. It's crazy.
He did. It's like every time he came to the ring after this point, it was just bigger and thicker. And like, guy, you're in your 40s. You're not supposed, like him and Lashley. It pisses me off.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Think Bobby Lashley. That dude ain't aged in 20 years.
yeah.
The ponytail and the beard added 20 pounds of muscle to Brock.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know how you made that guy look more menacing, but somehow he did it.
They did. They put him in a ponytail and give him a beard, and suddenly he just looks. Now he looks like a Viking.
Right. Give him a
He
cowboy.
looks like a guy that's coming to pillage your
Range.
little town.
Awesome.
Here we go. We're about to lock up. AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. Hope you guys still are watching along with us. We never even stopped the show and set the timestamp. It's all right. It's all good.
I mean,
I have a
one way to put it.
somewhat vague memory of this one, too. I remember it being very fast-paced.
And Brock is just throwing him around.
Oh, yeah, he's in there laying in the elbows, tossing AJ around already. AJ can't get out of the box. Brock's all over him.
Put it. Oof. Poor AJ.
At this point, AJ's like, okay, what happened and how do I survive this?
Good old Charles Robinson. Laying down the law.
Brock's just stalking him. Nothing more menacing than Brock Lesnar. Just like he doesn't even have to do a move. He just got to stalk you in the ring.
Yeah.
And it's terrorizing.
And
then he hits you.
And as big as he is, for that he can just close on people, chasing them down. It's just that's scary.
Well, and again, to be a guy as big as he is, and what's Lesnar, 45 now? 44?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. He still moves. Like we talk about Lashley and Lashley not aging. Lesnar really hasn't aged either. I mean, he's a little thicker, but the guy still moves like he's got a lot left in him. And I think back to Elimination Chamber from a couple of years ago over in Saudi. And he scaled that cage like
Awesome.
damn Spider-Man. It was horrifying.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Hey, Austin Theory running for his life, literally, because that big man was coming to get him.
Yeah.
Oh, poor AJ. Belly to belly suplex. I don't think AJ's selling because he wants to there. I think he's selling
I think
because
that
that
really
hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not kayfabe, brother.
Nope. I think I landed square on my backside and my hip, and ow. That was a hard bump. How do I survive this? This is everything going through AJ's mind right now. What did I sign up for? Why am I here?
It's a German.
Belt.
This time period of matches for Brock Lesnar was really good too. Like AJ Styles, he had a great match with. He had awesome. One of my favorite matches was him and Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Him and the great part was like in this match. By contrast, he's all over AJ Styles. Like we are 5 minutes in here, and he has just been wearing AJ Styles out. In that match with Samoa Joe, Joe went right on the attack. Like he hit Lesnar coming out of the gate. And it took Lesnar 4 or 5 minutes to even get hands on Joe. It was amazing.
Oh man, to the table. Good grief.
Oh God.
Hope AJ got hazard pay. Beast matches should get you an extra 0 in your
Yeah, oh yeah.
window.
And for all, and look, this to me, this is one of those things again. If you want, people talk about WWE ring work and whatnot. If this was an indie show, they'd be having a video game match.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this.
And by now AJ would probably hit a Canadian Destroyer on him or something, and
But this again, in the context of everything, makes sense. Brock is nearly twice AJ's size, and Brock hit him from the beginning. AJ should be fighting for his life here. And it feels legitimate, and I like that.
And because remember, folks, that in shoot fighting, they have weight classes, and they have weight classes for a reason. Because you would not, okay.
Oh my God, that knee! Oh, it's lights out, AJ. This was really good. Man, that knee was vicious.
Yeah.
AJ doesn't know where he is. He thinks he works for Dixie still.
Yeah. Like, how come the ring only has 4 sides? Where's the 6-sided ring?
Oh. Short arm clothesline. Thank you very much.
Oh God.
Oh.
AJ hasn't landed one move yet.
He has not. This has been total domination by Brock Lesnar.
Oh, now here we go. Now he's fighting back.
Yep, here it comes. Now he's in. Brock's going to give him a little bit here.
There it goes.
Yeah, well.
That was it.
Yeah.
We're going to snuff that out, sir.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. I love Brock Lesnar matches. I love Brock Lesnar.
I went through a little period when he first came back where I was iffy on the Brock Lesnar experience because I was still kind of remembering Brock how he was in his 20s as a more work rate guy, and this just devastation and demolish Brock Lesnar I wasn't crazy about, but I've really grown to appreciate just how freaking good this guy is, and this second run has been like a renaissance for him.
Yeah, and you see it.
And for AJ.
Yeah.
AJ can nail the DDT. Yes, it seemed like for a little while it was just we were doing the suplex marathon, and it got a little repetitive.
Yeah.
In the first year or so, but after that they kicked it up. He started cooking, and it's been amazing.
Now you see he's going after the leg.
Yep. Smart.
And now he's down on one knee. Now he's working on him. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And again, this is a good wrestling match because, of course, AJ's going to pull off some of his stuff, but it's more like him fighting to survive. Oh, that was sloppy.
Yeah.
That was sloppy.
Yeah, he didn't get all the way up and over.
Yeah, he was going for a tornado DDT. I don't think Brock was quite set for it. Are they going to show it again? They never show that in the replays.
It was still
probably shouldn't have showed that in the replay because that was terrible. It's a shame because this is a really good match.
Yeah.
So you don't want to grade the match on one shitty spot, but.
Ooh.
Oh yeah! Take that, big guy.
Melee kick to the back of the head.
Oof.
That's what you show the replay on because that looked good. That looked really good.
Phenomenal forearm. Oop.
Okay, caught again. Boom.
And whoa, turned him inside out on that one. I'll echo something with Brock like I did with Charlotte earlier on in the last match. When he gives, Brock gives. Like he really does.
Yeah. If he likes it, if he wants to work, he will work. He doesn't work up this sheen of sweat for just anybody.
Nope. He's got the respect for him. He's got the respect for the business. And we're going to go out here. We're going to have a good match. And it's going to feel like a real fight. And I'm going to look like I got my ass kicked by a guy half my size. God, what the hell? I'd like to see these guys run this back one more time.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few matches with Brock I'd like to see people run back one more time before he retires. Same thing with AJ. We need AJ and Roman again before either one of them because those two had off the chain chemistry.
Hear me now and hear me good, Triple H. We'd never ever need another Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar match. It's over.
That being said,
I think
I'd watch another one.
They'll do one more before.
They are my two favorite modern. That's my favorite modern feud. Is Brock and Roman, and those are two guys that I could watch. I don't think I could ever get tired of the two of them because each match is a little different, and especially now that he's like fully immersed in the Tribal Chief, it's not just Lesnar whipping his ass for 20 minutes and Roman fighting for his life. It added such a new layer to that feud.
I agree with you. Everything you're saying, I would theoretically watch them wrestle a million more times, but just the imagery of Roman standing atop the, doomsday under a pile of rubble.
Yeah, that should have been this. But then again, we said the same thing with the New Day and the Usos in the Hell in a Cell. That should have ended it, like definitively ended that feud. And 2 months later, they were in the ring again.
But I feel like again, the New Day and the Usos still had long careers ahead of them. It was no way that they were never going to cross paths again.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he wants to go till he's 80, and God bless him, he probably could. But, it feels like we're rounding a corner here. So, no.
I mean, I don't think it needs to happen again. But if I wouldn't spit at it if they did it one more time.
I'd say you have a large thing to follow at that point.
Yeah.
So good luck.
AJ's throwing everything at Brock here. He's already hit a moonsault. He hit the
450.
The 450. Brock doesn't know where he's at. AJ, so damn athletic, man.
It is.
Like, I feel like he came in at the right time, but there's also a part of me that wishes he might have come in maybe 5 years sooner, just so we could have gotten more. Uh-oh, nope, sir, you set yourself up.
Uh-oh.
Calf crusher.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember this. This is the best.
Oh yeah, what he does to AJ. This part I remember. This is the part of the match I remember.
Yeah.
How Brock gets out of this is freaking violent.
Unless this isn't the one. Oh, nope, it is. Oh.
It's the one. It's the one. He's about to hook that chin. I think you guys are a couple seconds ahead of me.
Yep. Sorry.
Right.
There it is. Oh, yeah. Just beat him down into the canvas.
Get the replay on that.
I'll kill you. Let go of me.
Whew.
I remember being horrified when I watched that live.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Crowd with the "This is awesome" chant, because it is. This match has been spectacular. I forgot how good this match was. Yeah, I'm glad we watched this one. These guys tore the house down here.
Brock of a last second kick out.
AJ going for another forearm.
No. Just get the feeling this might not end well for him.
Nope.
Yo.
Oh, caught. That was a thing of beauty.
No. Yep. Right on. And night.
Beautiful. What a finish.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was so good. What a good calls, Rob. Good calls here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Definitely.
All right. So if I remember correctly, Team Raw ends up winning the Survivor Series, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I think they win every year except for the year the NXT won.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically became like a rib, basically.
Yeah. Well, I've always said, Raw has been Vince's baby for almost 30 years now, almost.
Yeah.
And which is funny because SmackDown is named after pretty much one of his greatest creations, but Raw is still his baby. All right. I think we can wrap this thing up here and kick a few other things around. Got a couple other little things we wanted to talk about. One was, and I'm going to let Rob run with this one. We have been talking at least sporadically and intermittently about WWE and a possible Japanese expansion. And I had mentioned, a year ago that I think it would be great if they did like a NXT Japan or something like that. And, we have Kairi Sane just came back. There's rumor kicking around that they may be signing, is it Julia from Stardom?
Yeah.
They've been sniffing her out. So, there's, smoke, fire, folks coming over from Japan. Obviously, Shinsuke's been with WWE now for going on 7 years, obviously very happy. And now Kaiji Muto, or Great Muto, whatever you want to call him, has been. Rob, I'm going to let you take over here because you're a little bit more in with this than I am.
Okay, so, and I think it was a couple of years ago, there were reports that Nick Khan had made some inquiries to New Japan Pro Wrestling about working together. And then Tony Khan kind of, I guess, bigfooted it there because, their EVPs over there, of course, have a long-standing, doing work in New Japan, Kenny and the Bucks and some other guys. So that kind of didn't go anywhere. And so I think, And so earlier this year, towards the beginning of the year, Shinsuke did Muda's retirement show,
He did.
and that was kind of out of the blue because I think they never had really worked. I don't think they actually ever wrestled each other. But he went over there, he did the show, and then Muda got inducted into WWE Hall of Fame. And some people probably will know, well, that's kind of weird, but if me and DJ remember the Great Muda from the NWA days, and
Yep.
he
And
was somebody really ahead of his time. Like I have no idea if he had been doing that stuff in Japan for a while, but some of that stuff it was the first time I ever seen it in the United States.
yeah, Muda was an attraction over here for guys like Rob and I.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first person I ever saw do a moonsault. Ever.
Yes.
Um, and the kind of cartwheel hand, elbow into the corner, and then the handspring elbow where he would run to the middle of the ring and just like twist and drop down really fast on people.
Oh yeah, the spinning elbow, it was iconic
Yeah.
for him.
Kind of like when the Hurricane said once, like if you weren't ready, that thing came down real fast, and if you weren't ready, you were get hurt. Because he told a story just about how he knew it was coming, but he didn't realize how fast it was, and he got caught basically. So he did just a bunch of stuff that just had not been seen here. And look, since and he has history with Ric Flair, with Sting in particular. So it was not unreasonable to put him in the Hall of Fame, considering the WWE owns the NWA tape libraries and all that stuff. So now you fast forward a little bit, and Finn Balor went over there and had a little meeting with Muda a few months ago, and now Shinsuke and Shayna Baszler have gone over there because Muda is affiliated with Pro Wrestling Noah, and so I believe I'm guessing Shayna probably did some stuff there, maybe. I mean, I'm assuming that because for them to send her, she's got to have some familiarity with them over there. So
I think she may have done some work over there.
Yeah, and so it looks like, and there had been talk before about doing an NXT Japan. Now, that's always going to be a tough nut to crack because it's because a lot of the Japanese wrestling over there it's very established, and it's hard to start something new and actually get any traction. Your best bet would always be to work with an existing company and not try to do something new yourself. And so it looks like that maybe what's going on here. And honestly, I'm not particularly familiar with the guys who work in Pro Wrestling Noah, but obviously they're not bums. They're not,
yeah.
But it's a very interesting possibility because a lot of us were hoping for a New Japan thing for a while, but that didn't happen. And honestly, the ship has sailed on most of their best people there now. The only one is not. Okada can still do what he does, but the rest of their top guys there are just not what they were even a few years ago. So honestly, that ship has kind of sailed now. So if there is something, if I'm going to go ahead and assume that something is going to eventually come out of this, and it'll be interesting to see.
I think it'll be interesting if they do like a talent swap, or if they do like a joint show or something like that. I think it'll be fun to watch. I don't watch a whole lot of Japanese wrestling, but what I've watched, I've enjoyed. And I'm on Facebook, and I think I follow. It's either New Japan or All Japan, and they throw like some classic matches up there every now and then when some of the Americans would go over there and mix it up with the guys. And it's incredible to watch the history of some of that. And it'd be fun to see that now in this generation of talent. So it's going to be interesting. Jason, do you have any thoughts on it? I don't know how into like Japanese wrestling you are.
One thing I would just mention is that Shayna and Shinsuke are both NXT alum, big deal NXT alum. So could they be doing something about NXT Japan? Maybe does that take shape as some sort of joint show? Does that as some sort of joint effort? Are they just making nice with the hey, we're gonna launch another Fed in your backyard, so can we play nice? Who knows? Who knows what the purpose of those meetings was? But I think it's just an interesting wrinkle to note that significant NXT alum as well as being obviously big time players.
Yeah. I think the just global expansion of WWE in the last 36 months has been incredible. Like they've always been the World Wrestling Federation, and they've always traveled to other parts of the world. But just the deal with Saudi, the big deal with the Clash at the Castle going over there. They've got a big show coming up in Perth. They just announced what Backlash next year is going to be in France.
Yes.
And they're making a big deal out of this. Like 25, 30 years ago, it was a big deal that they went to Wembley, and they made a big deal out of it then, but that was a big show. They don't do stuff like that all the time. To see that coming now just is incredible, and it's neat to watch, not only from those fans' perspectives, because you get to see it through their eyes, but just to sit in awe as to how broad the reach of WWE is.
And we've seen that it's there with AEW at Wembley. We've seen it with, Clash at the Castle. The want, need, and desire is there in Europe. So let's go help them out.
And now is the time to do it. You do it, while things are going, while you're riding high, and you have the time and space to do it. This is the time to do it. Because one thing, during that new generation era when business was not going so well, they still did okay overseas.
Yeah, they were still huge in Germany. Like they did, as far as I understand, they did good business in Germany.
Yeah, and so now is the time to kind of reestablish that stuff, because we know, look, things go in cycles. As great as things are going now, I've always said, if somebody shows you a graph, it always points up. Don't trust them.
Yeah.
So right now, the graph is pointing up right now, but there will come a time where it's flat, or it might be pointing down a little bit again, and it's good to have footholds in other markets, so that, because if things start to tail off a bit here or whatever, things don't tail off everywhere at the same time. Mm-hmm. So if there comes a point where people here get their fill of whoever the top people are, you'll still have a year or two of lag time before that takes hold elsewhere. So it's good to have things established in as many places as possible, and have your reach as far as you can go. And this is the time to do it. You do it
right
while things are going well, because when you're back in another slower cycle, you can't expand because you don't have the means to do it. Right?
Yeah, you're basically taking the money here to kind of float yourself through the lean times.
Yeah, so this is when you do it. And
I was going to put it this way. I'm not going to argue gates and records and ticket stubs from now and papering the place and blah 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 blah. But I'm comfortable saying AEW just sold one of the biggest wrestling events of all time at Wembley. So yeah, the little brother, the little engine that could just did that. So the market is not going to get much hotter. So you might as well strike right now.
One thing I'm hopeful for is that with this expansion, we've got Raw, we've got SmackDown, we've got NXT, we've got whatever they're about to do with NXT Europe. If there is some type of foothold being established in Japan and maybe even in other parts of the world, that some of the talent that we don't see on TV on a regular basis, these people that are quote unquote in catering all the time, hopefully we'll see them get shuttled over to the other parts of the world so that we see them on our programming a little more regularly. I take, for instance, Cedric Alexander. I think Cedric Alexander is amazing. I think he's an amazing athlete. I think, he's always had something to give, and he's been in witness protection for however long it's been since the original Hurt Business broke up. And, now Shelton Benjamin's gone, so he can't even, tag with him anymore. But he's been back on TV in a series of matches against Dragon Lee. And it's been good to see Shelton, or not Shelton, but to see Cedric back on TV again and wrestling and working. And he even, when they were teasing about a month or so ago, they were teasing with Muto. He expressed a lot of interest in going over to Japan and working. And I think that would be a great place for him to go out and get some regular exposure and some regular TV time, because I think he could go over there with some of those guys and tear the house down.
Oh, absolutely. And because like I said, anywhere that there's space to get some more people some more time is good. Because with the roster the size that it is, again, they're not getting any more TV time in the U.S., folks. I mean,
no, that's pretty much, yeah. So, well, we'll see what happens. I'm interested. I'm here for it. I want to see what they do with it, and hopefully, they'll quit dropping little nuggets and teases and give us some real news in the near future. I would imagine, though, that's something that they'll keep in their pocket until closer to the end of the year, or maybe the beginning of the year. If there's anything going on, that they'll reveal it at that time.
Yeah, and I think honestly, the next, I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a premium live event in Japan, since they're doing, they're doing Australia, they're doing Germany, they're doing France next year, and they'll go back to Saudi Arabia again, of course. I think the next step is probably to get some type of premium live event over there in Japan.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. So, all right, just one last little thing I wanted to talk about real quick before we go home and get out of here. WWE has a new documentary out on, and if you've been watching WWE for any more than like 20 years, you know who I'm talking about. This guy Vladimir, who's a super fan of WWE, and for the longest time there was, and they talk about this in the documentary. I don't want to spoil too much of it from you, but there was always, you see this guy back in the the mid 90s and into the early 2000s. You see this guy, and he's at every event. He's at all of them, man. You're like, to the point where it's almost like, as my group of friends would watch, we're almost like, is Vlad at this event? You're looking for Vlad as much as you're looking for the WWE wrestlers, because he was very much a part of the whole experience. And at first it was almost like, remember the third or fourth time you heard the Wilhelm scream?
Oh, yeah.
And you identified it, that it was something that you'd heard elsewhere, and you've heard it multiple times. I kind of liken Vlad to pro wrestling's Wilhelm scream. First time you see him, they cam on him. The second time, you're like, hey, I saw that guy a month or two ago. By the fourth or fifth time, you're like, wait a minute. I've heard this is like, now it's become a thing, and he's been plugged into all these things. And WWE did a documentary on him. It was absolutely very touching to hear this guy's story and understand what not only the business means to him, but what he means to the business. Because a lot of the workers got in there and talked very candidly about him, gave their talks about him and how they came to meet him and what he meant to the events. And the whole documentary just speaks to WWE fans in general, and breaking it back down to basics as to why we all became fans. And in a day and age where the curtain has been peeled back, so to speak, and we all know a little bit more than we did 25, 30 years ago, and we think we know a lot more than we actually know. So we watch it very differently than we did when we were kids or teenagers, young adults, before the internet, before social media and all that. And you watch this through his eyes, and he's in his mid 60s now, and he still watches it like he did 30 years ago. He's still a fan, and regardless of what he thinks he knows, and he's taken pictures with dozens of wrestlers and just video of him with dozens of wrestlers and interactions and things like that. But he still watches it the way you're supposed to. He still gets excited about it. And I thought the whole documentary was incredible. And it's very touching in some spots. I smiled from ear to ear in certain parts of it, and there were other parts of it where I was bawling my eyes out. Legit, I'll tell you that, just because it gets that deep into certain personal aspects of his life. I can't put this thing over enough, and I recommend it. I know you guys haven't seen it, and I told you guys, carve out, it's 35 to 40 minutes, man. Carve out some time in your day, watch it, and pay attention, because it really calls back to the fan that sometimes I miss being. I miss that innocence and that I came here to watch a show and be entertained because I love this. And so many people have forgotten that. And we do that on here. We get in here, we nitpick little pieces of matches and pieces of shows, and it's fun and we enjoy it. And I don't think it's really dampened my enjoyment of pro wrestling in WWE, but it's fundamentally changed how I watch it. With one, having been in the business for a couple of years, and then two, the growth of the internet and the birth of social media. Watching this documentary, it brings you back. It brings you back to an innocent time, to a time where you just were a fan and you just watched the show, as we say on this podcast nearly every week. And I love that. I love that for him. And they do a really cool thing for him. And I'm not going to spoil anything. Please go watch it. It's on the Peacock. It's like I said, it's less than 40 minutes.
Well, that's cool, man. One of the best things about being a fan is when, if you start going to some of the same buildings, over and over again, you start seeing some of the same people.
Yes.
I mean, back when we used to go to used to call the Capitol Center. It was an arena not far from me. There was a guy there. He was one of the just arena worker people. Looked dead ringer for Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
And we used to, and then so of course, if Jake was on the card and Jake lost or something, people would be like, Jake, what happened, man? And he'd always just smile at us, like, hey man, but that's one of the fun things about being a fan, is seeing people like Vladimir, or like the last show I went to was in Northern Virginia a few months ago, and there was a guy like sitting near me, and it happened to be like the same guy who was sitting next to me when I went to SmackDown back in March, and he was like singing along with everybody's theme music and everything, right? And it was,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are the things that that really make being a fan really cool, and I just am thankful for fans like Vladimir, and because even though there are people now who it looks like they go to all the shows. Like there's a guy with like a Trinidad flag or something, and
yeah,
and he and people are always looking for him. Like where's the Trinidad guy? Right? There's like with the green Brock Lesnar shirt guy or something. I think.
Yeah. There was so they talk. There's like a whole group of guys that were kind of that guy back in the '90s, and they talk a little bit about that. And there was a point in the documentary that kind of embarrassed me, because I've been to a bunch of live shows. I've been to quite a few NXT shows here in the area. And, you watch Vlad, and like I said, the guy's in his 60s. He's definitely at an age where you think you might be too cool for school for this. And he's still out there acting like he's a 18-year-old kid going to his first wrestling show. Like, that's how much the guy loves it. And I think back to the last NXT show I went to, and I've had some rough spots. 2023 has not been a good year for me. Personally, professionally, there's been a lot going on. And we went to this last NXT show, and I was off of a string of just really crummy days. And I was looking forward to the show, but we went, and I was running on like 4 hours of sleep in like 3 or 4 days. It was an awful stretch for me. And we were watching the match, and it was Wes Lee and Idris Anofi and Malik Blade versus Gallus. And the match was fun as hell. And I talked about it when I talked about that show, after it happened. But I was literally, and we were in the front row. It was me, my son, my girlfriend, a couple of my buddies were in the front row. And I'm just like zoned out because I'm tired. I'm in my own little headspace. And I'm in the front row. I'm at a show watching something that I love, and I'm just zoned out. And Wes Lee, he came over to our side, and he totally called me out. Like, he was right in front of me. He's like, come on, man, get up. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'm at a wrestling show. And, so I thank you, Wes Lee, for calling me out on that. but yeah, man, I'm embarrassed for myself, because here's this guy who's, like you said, got 15 years on me, and he's still just out there like a kid. And I think that's so awesome that there are people out there like that. And I think we should all try to be more like that and stop watching it like we think we know what's going on. I think we steal so much joy from ourselves with our modern way of thinking as fans.
Yeah, and it's not just wrestling; it's others. Like, I mean, because talk about how terrible Star Wars fans can be sometimes.
Oh God.
And I just remember back to when in that episode of The Mandalorian when Luke Skywalker showed up and I jumped up out of my seat. I was running around the basement like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, dude, I was a 13. Tina and I were both 13-year-old kids again when that happened.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yes, and that's the best way to do this stuff because like you're still watching it right for a reason.
Yeah.
If you're still watching it at 30, 40, 50 years old, like why are you still watching it? Right?
Yeah, if you're just going to spend your life analyzing it and picking it apart, you are watching the wrong thing.
Right, and speaking to somebody who does analyze everything too much, I mean, there's a time where you need to kind of put that, on the shelf and just sit down and have fun watching what you're watching, and and when we do all of the, and it's one of the reasons I always, I get kind of irritated every time people just start doing career speculation for NXT folks because it's like you don't know what's going to happen, okay?
Right.
Just watch and see what happens, right? And like for example, Lash Legend wins a match Tuesday, and now she's in the Iron Survivor thing, and we've been supportive of her here. We've been kind of concerned how she's been progressing, and now she's getting a very big opportunity next month.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's great. But if we had sat there and played the career speculator game this whole time,
drive yourself insane.
Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, so you don't know what's going to happen with you folks and where things are going to turn, how things are going to end up, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what somebody's going to get to do on the television show that might be fun or exciting to do.
Yep.
And the best way to do it is do it like Vladimir. And I think, I mean, and that also means gotta be a little vulnerable. You gotta be willing to get your heart broken like a fan, also to be disappointed like a fan, also, right? I mean, when one of your favorite wrestlers loses, it's okay to feel hurt and to feel disappointed. It's okay, right? Don't and but it's good to see people like him still enjoying it. Coming up, and Howard Finkel, when he was later on in his life, they said like he put like a little note on the I guess on the board in the nursing home where he was like at 8:00, please turn on wrestling. Stuff like that, right? I mean, that's the way to do this stuff, folks. It really is.
Yeah.
And I know we're talking about this on a podcast, right? And it seems like everybody and their brother has a podcast now. But if you can't find some fun in doing this, then I do have to ask, why are you still here?
Yeah.
And look, that's why we do the watch along, right? Because we sometimes, or we don't, because we don't want to be serious all the time.
And I'm going to take a minute to shamelessly plug something that I'm doing with PC Tunney, who's been on here before, Dave Unger, who's part of the DWI podcast, Bandwagon Nerds. We're doing something at the Chairshot Radio Network called it's Dave's podcast. It's called the Attitude of Aggression podcast. We're doing the Big Four pay-per-views for like the late 80s, early 90s. And we're on, I think we just finished up Royal Rumble 1990. And it's been such a good stroll down memory lane because it takes me back to when I didn't know what I know or know what I think I know. And it's just been fun to go back and revisit that through those eyes. And it reminds you as to why we used to watch this. Jason, you got anything to add to this?
No, just have fun with it. Honestly, like we try to have fun with it and just, watch it like a comic book, like it is okay to be upset when your favorite loses. Like you don't obviously be a jerk about it, but like, it's okay. You can be disappointed. How did you feel when you walked out of Infinity War and half your favorites got blasted? Did you feel queasy? Did you feel upset? Okay. It's okay to feel that way about wrestling too. It's just as silly. It's just as stupid. As far as I'm concerned, if it brings you a little joy in your life, then have at it, man.
It is the most wonderfully ridiculous form of entertainment that I indulge in. It really is. Pro wrestling is. Yep. So, all right, guys, I think let's call it there. Next week, we're going to do another watch along. We're going to watch an actual War Games match, or not War Games, but a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. We'll have that lined up next week, and then we'll probably go over the 2023 Survivor Series card next week, gentlemen. Give our predictions on that.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to go back around the room here like I always do. Thank my co-hosts, Jason, sir. Fun night tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure.
And from the Rob the Genius podcast, Mr. Rob, good matches, good calls tonight, sir.
Well, thank you. And I have to say thank you to the newest member of the household here.
That's right. You got to put that over.
Yes, and she's licking her paw right now. Because since January, I've been a cat owner. This wonderful feline. She wandered into actually my kid's mother's place. She wandered in over there, and they couldn't keep her because my kid's mother has two dogs. So I always thought about having a cat. Once my dog I had here passed away, I didn't really want to get another dog. I thought, maybe get a cat, but I never got around to doing it. But so everything lined up perfectly, and so she moved in here in January. She's been here since January, and so there was a contest by the people who run one of the big conventions around here. And since the Marvels movie came out, they had a contest like send us a picture of you and your cat. And then we'll pick somebody and they'll win a prize. So I took a picture I had of Kitty and I together, and I sent it in on their Facebook page. And next thing you know, I got a DM saying, "Hey, you won." So, and now she's looking at me like, "Yeah, I'm talking about you." Okay, yes, you did good for us. Okay, so I won a couple of weekend passes to Awesome Con. That's one of the biggest local convention here. That's in March, and I won a Marvels T-shirt. And actually, yeah, that's it. So I won, so I won the things at the convention. I won a T-shirt, and all thanks to you, Kitty. So thank you.
Fur babies are awesome.
Yes,
I love being a pet owner.
Yeah, and I've missed having one since Ruthie passed away. That was the Labrador Retriever I used to have. She passed away about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been good to have somebody else here in the house again.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very, very cool. Congratulations on that. And on that note, we are going to get out of here. This has been the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, part of the Chairshot Radio Network. Again, you can find us on the chairshot.com. I also want to invite you to go over to prowrestlingtees.com/thechairshot. From there, you can browse, peruse, look at, if you will, a collection of T-shirts from your favorite Chairshot Radio Network podcast, including this one, the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. The holidays are coming up. You're going to want to pick one up for yourself. You're going to want to pick one up for your friends and family. We'll thank you. Your skin will thank you if you pick one up in soft style. Again, guys, thank you for listening. We love doing this. We're coming up on 3 years together. The 3-year anniversary of us being a threesome here on this podcast is coming up in about 2 months. Trying to come up with something big to celebrate that. We've got the year-end stuff coming up. Got a lot of big things I'm looking forward to in the next couple of months. Remember, you can call it pro wrestling. You can call it sports entertainment. You can call it whatever you want, but call it in the ring. And we're out of here till next week.